Hello, friends. Now, today we will talk about the topic called the doctrine of strict liability. This is also known as the law in Rylance versus Fletcher. Now, what is strict liability? Strict liability may be defined as a duty which renders a man responsible or liable without any fault on his part and irrespective of any consideration, intention or negligence on his part. Now, this is as we spoke previously. This is known as the rule in Rylance versus Fletcher. Blackburn J. In the case of Rylance versus Fletcher, was coined or the doctrine of strict liability was coined or propounded for the first time by Blackburn J. in the case of Rylance versus Fletcher, and hence it is also known as the rule in Rylance versus Fletcher. The liability, now why is it called strict liability? The liability is strict in the sense the defendant is liable irrespective of negligence on his part. Now, coming to the facts of the case, I am talking about the case called Rylance versus Fletcher. So, the defendant here, initial defendant was Rylance. So, this fellow Rylance, he appointed a contractor, who is a qualified engineer, for construction of mill, of reservoir on his land, for the supply of water to his mill. While constructing the reservoir, the workers found some old shafts, but they negligently filled it up with sand, with mud. Right. Now, when the reservoir got filled with water, it burst through the shafts. It burst through the shafts and flooded the plaintiff. The plaintiff is Fletcher. The plaintiff's coal mines on the adjoining land. In an action by the plaintiff, the defendant was held liable on the ground of strict liability. Now, what are the issues that are framed by the court? Whether there is any negligence on the part of the plaintiff? Absolutely no. There is no negligence on the part of the defendant. Where an employer employs an independent contractor, can the employer be held liable? With regard to the second question, where an employer, that is where the defendant here employs an independent contractor and the independent contractor engages some workers for the work, the master and servant relationship is established between the contractor and the workers, and hence the independent contractor is to be liable for the tort committed by the workers and the employer is not liable. However, Blackburn J evolved the rule of strict liability for the first time in this case, and hence the employer is liable. The employer, that is the defendant, whereas who is Rylance here? With regard to the third question, whether the defendant can be held liable though there is no negligence on his part. The defendant, with regard to this question, the defendant is held liable under the rule of strict liability irrespective of negligence on his part. The rule of strict liability. There's a Latin maxim, sic utere tuo ut alienum non laedas, which means everyone must so use his own land, as not to damage another. The rule of strict liability. According to this rule, any person who for his own purposes brings on his own land and collects and keeps anything likely to cause mischief if it escapes, must keep it at his own peril, and he is prima facie answerable for all the damage which is a natural consequence of the escape. Let me repeat. Any person who for his own purpose brings on his lands and keeps anything which is likely to cause mischief if it escapes, must keep it at his peril, and he is prima facie answerable for all the damage which is the natural consequence of its escape. So the meaning of strict liability is liability irrespective of negligence with defenses. Liability irrespective of negligence with defenses. Now, there are few. So, what did we understand from this? What are the essential elements of the doctrine of strict liability? There are three essential elements. One, first of all, it should be a dangerous thing. It should be for non-natural. It should be escape. There should be an escape, and it should be for non-natural use. Let me repeat. It should be a dangerous thing. There must be. It should escape, and it should be kept for non-natural use. Now, to claim damages under the doctrine of strict liability, the plaintiff has to establish that the thing collected and kept on the defendant's land is a dangerous thing, and it is likely to do mischief if it escapes. The plaintiff, to be successful in action for strict liability, the thing collected and kept on the defendant's land complained to be dangerous must have actually escaped from the area outside the occupation and control of the defendant. That is, in other words, dangerous thing must have escaped from the defendant's land onto the land of another and caused damage. Now, there is a case law here where there is no escape from the defendant's land, escape of the dangerous thing. Now the case law is Reed versus Lyons and Co. Limited. The plaintiff was employed in the defendant's factory. When she was performing her duties, a shell exploded in the premises and she was injured. In an action against the defendant was held not liable on the ground that there was no escape of the thing outside the premises of the defendant. To apply the rule in Lyons versus Fletcher. Non-natural use. The third thing, non-natural use. In its primary sense, it indicates that the term natural is inherently vague and confusing, for it has two different meanings. In its primary sense, it indicates that which exists in or by nature and is not artificial. In its second meaning, it indicates that which is ordinary and usual, even though it may be artificial. The courts now understand non-natural use in later sense, which is that which is ordinary and usual, even though it may be artificial. Now, there is a case law here, Rickards versus Lothian. There must be some special use bringing with it increased danger. There must be some special use bringing with it increased danger to others, and may not merely be the ordinary use of land or such a use as it proper for the general public of the community, general welfare of the community. This particular word is important because I will talk about some dams and water storage of water for irrigation purposes. Now let me talk about the important part here. Such a use as is proper for the general benefit of the community. To contract strict liability, the thing kept on the defendant's land must be for non-natural use. Storage of water in house for domestic purposes is natural use. If it is stored in huge quantity, as in the case of Rylands versus Fletcher, it is non-natural use. There is another case law here. In T.C. Balakrishnan Menon versus T.R. Subramanian, it was held that the use of explosives in a Maidan, open ground, even on a day of festival, is non-natural use of land because under the Indian Explosive Acts, for making and storing explosive substances even on such places and at such occasions, licenses have to be taken from the prescribed authorities. Now, storage and supply of water for irrigation purposes. Case law. State of Punjab versus Mercer's Modern Cultivators. It was held that in the interest of public that it was natural use. If it is regarded as non-natural use, it attacks strict liability and no government would come forward to construct irrigation dams. This view was followed by AP High Court in K. Nagiran and others versus Government of AP. That's it. We'll come with defenses for strict liability in the next discussion. Bye.